Gopiyana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopiyana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopiyana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopiyana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajayana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrayakacharya Astotara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrayakacharya Astotara Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 22, verse 13. Ja udyatam anadritya kinasang abhyachate kshiyate tatyasa spitam manascha vajnaya dhataha ja udyatam anadritya kinasang aviyakshate kshiyate tatyasa spitam manascha vajnaya thataha yaudyatam anadritya kinasam abhiyakshate kshiyate tatjasa spitam manaschavajñaya hataha. Ganganath Dacchate Tatjasa Spitam Manashavajñaya hataha. Manaschavajñaya hataha. Udyata manadritya yashate yanataya vichayantam Manaschavajñaya hataha. Yagatrada Ya udyata manadritya Vaishnavas. Abhiyakshate Yate tatjasa spitam Manashavajñaya hataha. Jaha who udyatam an offering, anadritya rejecting, kisanam kinasam sorry from a miser, abhijachate begs, kshiyate is lost, tat his, yashaha reputation, spitam widespread, manaha honor, cha and avajñaya by neglectful behavior, hataha destroyed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: one who rejects an offering that comes on its own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. Purport: the general procedure of Vedic marriage is that a father offers his daughter to a suitable boy. That is a very respectable marriage. A boy should not go to the girl's father and ask for the hand of his daughter in marriage. That is considered to be humbling one's respectable position. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to convince Kardama Muni, since he knew that the sage wanted to marry a suitable girl. I'm offering just such a suitable wife. Do not reject the offer, or else, because you are in need of a wife, you will have to ask for such a wife from someone else who may not behave with you so well. In that case, your position will be humbled. Another feature of this incident is that Swayambhuva Manu was the emperor, but he went to offer his qualified daughter to a poor Brahmana. Kardama Muni had no worldly possessions. He was a hermit living in the forest, but he was advanced in culture. Therefore, in offering one's daughter to a person, the culture and quality are counted as prominent, not wealth or any other material consideration. Ya udyatam anadritya kinasam abhiyakshate Kshiyate tat yasaspitam manaschavajnaya hataha. One who rejects an offering that comes on its own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. So before I start speaking on this verse, I wanted to quote another verse from the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. This verse says that one who, this is Bhagavatam 12:59. One who with undeviating attention constantly recites this literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, in every moment of every hour, as well as one who faithfully hears even one verse of a half of a verse, or a single line, or even half a line, certainly purify his very self. So I just wanted to quote this because many times when we are like in the recitation of Bhagavatam, we don't want to recite the verses on the screen. And Prabhupada introduced this system because he knows that actually there is a beautiful lecture by Prabhupada in the first canto of chapter 7. I don't remember which verse. It's one of the first. I think it's in this verse. Anartho Pashaman Shaksha Bhakti Yoga Adokshehe. Or in the beginning, the devotees were hesitating to recite the verses, and Prabhupada encouraged them to recite the verses. And he said, these verses are not different from, I'm paraphrasing what Prabhupada said. These verses are not different from the Hare Krishna mantra, because these are mantras given by Srila Vyasadeva, who is an incarnation of the Lord. So therefore, if we recite this constantly, or at least, just like in this verse says, at least half a line or something, at least a word, we definitely will become purified. And at least most of us, all of us need purification. So it's good to, anytime we see the verse on the screen, try to recite it. Okay, coming to today's verse. So the story goes, as we know, Kardama Muni, he performed meditation and austerity for many thousands of years, and for the purpose of attaining self-realization and attaining the Lord. But he was harboring a material desire. In this case, he wanted to have a wife. So the Lord, being all-knowing, he told him that he will send a proper wife for him. That Swayambhuva Manu will come after a few days, and then he will present his daughter so that they can meet and marry. So therefore, in this verse, it is said that one who, what's it, 13? Oh, is he here? One who rejects an offering that comes on his own accord, but later begs a boon from a miser, thus loses his widespread reputation. So this is this verse speaks of today's conduct, because Kali Yuga is an age of not only ignorance but also pride, and everyone is concerned about their position, especially material position, because most of us don't have really solid spiritual position, but material position. So everyone is concerned about their material position. Sometimes also out of shyness, we reject offerings that comes on his own accord, not realizing that everything that we are experiencing in this life is already predestined. And when we come to devotional service, also the Lord takes care of, especially those devotees who are engaged in devotional service very seriously. The Lord would send whatever the devotee needs, because He's in the heart and He knows what we need and what we are hankering for. So if out of shyness or concern of our position in this material world, we neglect these things, later on by the strength of desire, we will be forced to beg for all these things. It's like I have a very practical experience of this in my life. When I came first to the temple and lived in the temple, I was previously reading a lot of Mayavadi stuff, so my mind was completely contaminated by Falgu Vairagya, or artificial renunciation. So I thought that in order to become spiritually advanced, you have to give up everything in this world, including feelings, or basically you'll be a stone or something like that. So that was my wrong understanding. So I came to live in Detroit, and And I remember that one of the last material possessions that I had, it was a phone. And I was like, what I'm doing is nonsense phone, I should be completely detached, like, Vishwamitra and this guy and that guy. So behind the temple, in those who have been in the Fisher Mansion, we have a river in the back side of the temple. So I used to go to that place on the roof, and I used to chant so many rounds there, because that was also nearby. It was Tulasi house. So I used to think, okay, this is Vrindavan and this is the Yamuna River. So that was like my daily meditation. And also we have a little hill, and I used to think, oh, this is Govardhan Hill. So I was trying to feel myself in, artificially thinking that I was in Vrindavan. So I thought, okay, let me get out of this nonsense phone material thing. So I threw it on the water, on the river. And thinking, this is such a material thing, what is the need of this? So then I lived like that, quite a few years without having phone or concern of, about how family and relatives are doing or whatever. But then later I realized that that's not our philosophy, because Srila Prabhupada never did that. He accepted anything material, and he uses it for Krishna service. And so we all have we all have heard how many times Prabhupada in his classes will say that this microphone is certainly made of material elements, but because we are using it for Krishna, therefore it becomes spiritual. This is called Nirbandha Krishna Sambandha. So, but if we use this microphone for speaking about, like, politics or, social reforms or, free Palestine, then it becomes Maya. It becomes something made out of Maya. So therefore, our process is not to reject, especially when that offer comes from an advanced personality, what to speak of coming from, the Supreme Lord himself. But I came to that realization little later after, because I didn't want anything material. I was like, sometimes in the middle of the snow, because Detroit is a very cold place, I was walking barefoot and doing all sorts of stupid things, and because of wrong understanding. But then by Krishna's arrangement, I was serving two very exalted ladies, two very exalted Vaishnavis, Sri Radha Mataji and Mother Madhuri. And they became really like my mothers. They were like taking care of me like their son, like bringing me all sorts of food and sweets and everything that I was ready to reject and to give up. They were bringing it, like nice clothes and phones and iPads and this and that. And I was, no, mother, I don't want this, I don't want that, But they would force me to accept some of those things, especially food, because they thought that I was doing so much austerity, and like eating only once a day, and chanting so many rounds, and they kind of like were very compassionate of my situation, because that's not our mood. Srila Prabhupada establishes that we should accept prasadam. Yeah. Actually, I was talking to Bhakta Kevin the other day, how I was listening a class from His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami, and so he was talking on this dry renunciation, and also the process of performing heavy austerities, show by Dhruva Maharaj. He was giving a class on that topic of Dhruva Maharaj, and then he mentioned how our process is completely the opposite, because Dhruva Maharaj he completely gave up eating, and he was only like in the beginning was eating roots and berries and some flowers, but later on he completely gave up that, and he was only breathing once in so many weeks or whatever. So the Maharaj says, I don't know if that, I'm paraphrasing him, he said, I don't know if that is your program, but definitely that's not my program. When I see prasadam, especially on festival days, and I see so many sweets, sometimes I see devotees rejecting those sweets, especially, like so-called heavy brahmachari. No, I don't want this sweet, this is Maya, And then Maharaj said, no, give me that sweet and put that cream on top of the sweet. I want it. So, saying that he wanted to express that Mahaprasadam or Prasadam is a transcendental item, and is an object that is given by the Lord, because without without the prasada that was enjoyed by the Lord, we cannot conquer our senses, especially the tongue, which is the most considered to be the most powerful of all the senses. So that's how I came to learn this this principle, because actually I remember also that I was reading the third canto, somehow or other in those days, and I came across this exact verse. And I was like, oh wow, I think this is a Vedic principle that one should accept, especially when it comes from advanced devotees, because they know and they are very close to the Lord, and the Lord may reveal so many things within their heart about what was the need of especially a neophyte devotee. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that even a man who has matured a vision, he will accept all sorts of material objects, and knowing that in the future, even if at that time, that present time when the object is coming to him, even if he doesn't have the desire to accept that object, he knows that in the future he may develop that desire, because he knows also that if he's coming, if the Lord is sending that object, particular object to him, whether a wife or some food or whatever, clothes or a phone or a car. So, he knows that in the future he may use that. That doesn't mean that one should, think that everything is, the Lord is sending everything, whatever he sees in the street. Because sometimes somebody is in the kirtan and he sees like a Mataji, he says, Mataji, very, educated lady, she just say Hare Krishna Prabhu or good morning, and then he starts thinking, oh, Krishna sent her to be my wife. So one should not speculate in those topics, one should always, because I've seen those things, and many more. So so one should not think like that. The Lord sends his things, but one should ask superior service, how should I apply this object in my life? In the same way that the Lord also sent so many, not only objects, but also situations, sometimes miserable situations, sometimes good situations, but sometimes when we come to devotional service, he also sends some miserable situations that are meant for purify us and to give us mercy. That's how the advanced devotees understand this. Taktenu Gampa Shushamikshmano. They think, or they understand that whatever misery is coming to their lives is because we deserve even much, really, really, really bad things, and the Lord is making it, very, very slight. And I remember also one of my god brothers. He's a great cook, and he constantly, not constantly, but sometimes he cuts his finger when he's cooking, because he has to do a lot of cooking, and sometimes he doesn't have someone else to help him. So he has to do a lot of cutting, a lot of things in a short time. So sometimes he's very, although he's very expert using the knife, sometimes he cuts himself. And many times he would tell me, oh, I deserve much more. I deserve to be killed. I'm such a, bad person. So immediately that's a consciousness of an advanced devotee, that he understands that the Lord, by his causeless mercy, he's making it very, very slight. So therefore, this is the lesson we're learning from this verse, and one should not reject whatever comes on its own, because it's generally predestined. Our material life is predestined by our own past karma, and providence ultimately acts in a very bewildering way that is impossible for any living entity to understand how mysterious providence acts. So therefore one should, especially if one understands that he has material desires and he needs to purify those desires, so it's good if he accepts those objects and learn how to use it properly in Krishna service and for his own purification. So otherwise it becomes Falgu Vairagya, the process of Falgu Vairagya explained by Srila Rupa Goswami in a Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. that is artificial renunciation. Sometimes we see that somebody is giving you some Lakshmi and you, no, I don't want to take it because I'm very renounced or something else. But that Lakshmi can be used for spreading the Sankirtan movement. And in this way, so many other things can also be used. So one should not reject and become a Falgu Vairagi. Because a Falgu is a river in India. That is, the surface of that river is covered with sand. So when you're at a distance, you cannot see that it's a river. You see a lot of sand. But if you throw a stone, then you immediately realize that there is water on the bottom. So in the same way, one who externally renounces all objects, but his mind is constantly thinking of how to enjoy in this world, Krishna says that such a person is a pretender. What is that verse? Karmendriyani samyamya yasa manasa smaran. Indriyani, somebody knows that verse? Indriyani vimudatma mityachara sauchate. This is in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna says that one who externally renounces the objects of the senses, but his mind is constantly thinking of those same objects, so many harboring so many material desires, he deluded himself, vimudatma, and then he becomes a pretender. He is nothing but a pretender. And sometimes we'll see that, especially when we are very neophyte. We have so many of those experiences in our movement, unfortunately, that people, they get very enthusiastic in the beginning. It's, utsahamai, it's like it's described by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Madhurya Kalambini, that in the beginning, the first stage of devotional service, one is influenced by this kind of illusory happiness. The one thinks that he is a very advanced devotee. Now I'm ready to give up my family life. And sometimes that happens, unfortunately, that some people, they say, I'm just going to give up my family life and I don't want to think of any mother or father. My only father is Krishna and this and that, and I'm a part and parcel of the Lord, and I'll give up everything and I'll join the brahmachari ashram and I'll distribute so many books, and then I'll go to Vrindavan and I'll live only on chapatis. And that occurs in his mind. But when it comes to the practical application of that knowledge, the opposite happens. He externally renounces all those things, but when he goes to Vrindavan or whatever, or the brahmachari ashram or whatever it is, he finds sometimes that there is a beautiful girl, because there's so many beautiful girls, especially if you go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, and they're married and they're beautiful and they are attractive, and it's the nature of, there's nothing wrong with that, it's the nature of a young Mataji to get married. But then he renounces his wife and then he gets another wife in such a place. And he continues his life. So Prabhupada sometimes condemned, sometimes not, many times he condemns these things. So it's better to be mature in his understanding of the philosophy and, humbly purify oneself through the process of hearing and chanting. And then when one is mature enough, when one is in his 50s or 60s or 70s, or I don't know, the Vedic injunction is after 50, one should renounce Panchasordhan Vanam Vrayet. One should, after 51, one should renounce, materialistic life, which is based on illusory consciousness, and then one should give up to the forest. And we see that when Prahlad Maharaj was talking to his father, Hiranyakashipu asking, okay, my dear son, what's the best thing you have learned at school? And they'd say, my dear, no, he didn't say my dear father, he said, oh, best of the demons, tatsadu manye asura varya dehinam, sama samudvigna diyam asatgraha. My best of the demons, the best thing I've learned in school is that one who accepts this temporary material body and material life will be always overcome with anxiety. Graha asat, this is a temporary body, he will be always in samudvigna, in so much anxiety. Therefore, hitvatma patam grihanam dakubam vanam gato jat harinasrayeta. So one should give up this materialistic way of life, which is like, this case, family life, which is compared to a well covered with grass, and one should take shelter on the forest and worship Lord Hari. And Prabhupada in the purport, he writes that therefore we're building the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, so that all the sincere devotees that are in the age of renouncing their life, they can come to our temple and join and worship properly the Supreme Lord. So this is the process. And in the same way, similarly, as conditioned living entities that doesn't understand these principles, we are neglecting to accept the supreme offering that we have in Kali Yuga, which is the Harinama, the chanting of the holy name. This morning, Acharya Keshav Prabhu and I were talking about how we were so unfortunate that even though he just came on his own, because nobody asked for the holy name when he was born. At least I didn't, So we don't ask for the holy name. We don't ask for Srimad Bhagavatam when we come to this conditioned life in this material world. But on his own accord, by the supreme will, by his unlimited mercy and causeless mercy, this Harinama has descended into this material world. And in Kali Yuga, this is the incarnation of the Lord. The incarnation of the Lord. Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar. The holy name is the incarnation of Sri Krishna in this age of Kali. So one should not be so neglectful, and we should not be so neglectful and think that this is something that we don't need, and we should do something else. You understand? We should not think like that. It's not like this holy name is, I can chant sometimes not, and I can read Bhagavatam one day, and then for 5 days or a week I don't read Bhagavatam, and then I can do other things. Later on, one's pride will be destroyed by Maya, and one will face a lot of obstacles in one's life. And just like it says here, and his pride is humbled by the neglectful behavior of others. So we will experience all these things in our life. So better to take shelter of Sri Harinama and Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, I remember Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say that, perhaps you remember this, Prabhu. He said that, he always used to glorify, of course, his life was only basically glorifying Bhagavatam and Harinam and Gauranga Mahaprabhu. You know this. He didn't know anything else. That Mahaprabhu, Bhagavatam and the holy name. So many times in his classes he will quote some nice verses from Chaitanya Bhagavat, saying that one who, there is a beautiful verse. Bhagavata yesh chamane se yavana sama tarasasta atre yanme prabhu yama. That one who does not accept this hearing or this process of reading and studying Bhagavat, he is considered to be a mlecha, a javana, a very degraded person. One who does not accept this Bhagavatam, he is a degraded person. This is Vrindavan Dasa Guru. This is not Maharaj, concoction. This is Vrindavan Dasa Guru and Acharya. So one who thinks that this Bhagavatam, why should I read this? What is this? It's such a book, ordinary book. He is a Yavana. He is a Mlecha. He's, a very fallen person. And Tara Sastra Atre Janme Prabhu Yama. Therefore, what is his destination? So he will be punished by Yamaraj life after life. So that's the destination of somebody who neglects what Prabhupada is kindly offering us. And also Maharaj used to say that if I don't read Bhagavatam in one day, then my day is called Durdina. Durdina means a bad day. And then he will ask, some disciple, such and such person, Prabhu, so what is a bad day for you? Disciples were very sincere and very honest, and they will say, well, when my senses are not gratified, I feel that this is a bad day for me. But for an advanced devotee, the day he doesn't read the Bhagavatam, he doesn't hear some Krishna Katha, that day is a Durdina day. So this is the only solution to all the problems that we're facing in our life. Because one should not be blind. Life is full of trials and obstacles and ups and downs and everywhere. Nobody can say that I'm not suffering in this life. Well, those who are our seniors, definitely they can say that because of many years worshiping the Lord. But most of us, in our beginning stages of bhakti, we were all facing a lot of problems, and not only in our spiritual life, but also in our material life. So the only solution is to carefully hear this Bhagavatam and carefully chant the holy name. Prabhupada sometimes quote a Bengali proverb: Krishna nama karovai arasabha nitya palaiva patanai jama ache piche. He said, this is a Bengali proverb. Some of my god brothers also from Bengal, they quote that verse, that proverb sometimes. It says, Krishna nama karovai arasabha nitya. Krishna nama, the holy name of the Lord, is the only solution. All other solutions are sabba mitya, they're false. And I just become a PhD, and then I, give class in some Oxford University or whatever, and then I get some money, and then I build a big house, and then I make friendship with Cristiano Ronaldo, and that guy, and we're all powerful, and we build a nice community, and we become vegans, and all this is arasabha mitya. This is false. Why it is false? Palaiva patanai jama ache piche. Because Yamaraj is waiting for you, Baba. Yamaraj, the Lord of Death, is waiting for conditioned souls, for people who are engaged in materialistic activities. So therefore we should give up, those ideas that if I do something else, and I neglect what is kindly given to us in this process of Krishna consciousness, we will attain perfection. This is not possible. You can try life after life after life after life, but you will never succeed. So I will end the class right here. If there's any commentary or questions or chastisements or any, just Bhakta Kevin Prabhu. Oh, sorry? Oh, the mic. Oh, Mataji has a question also. I think Mataji should speak first. Huh? Yeah, she has a question or a comment.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu, for the very nice class. I just had a question. We were doing service in the back. We listened to you. But you said you were meditating on Vrindavan, thinking about Vrindavan like you were in Vrindavan. But then you said that was artificial, you realized. But I thought I heard that if you think about Vrindavan or you meditate on Vrindavan, it's the same. So could you clarify that?
Well, I say that I was artificially trying because my mind was thinking of so many other things. Well, I was trying to think that I was in Vrindavan, but actually my mind was, hovering all over.
Not in Vrindavan.
No, definitely in Vrindavan.
Okay.
Still nowadays it's not in Vrindavan.
Okay,
What to speak in those
We
days.
just needed to clarify.
But definitely what you say is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna. So many nice points and nice realizations I had during your lecture. You made a point about how in the Vedas it says that after the age of 50 one should renunciate household life and go to the forest. And it made me think about how Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan to come to the cities to preach. And he uses a lot of analogies to tell us that these cities are like jungles, like a forest. These people are performing like animals, like tigers and gorillas, just eating and sleeping, fearing mating. And it made me think about that verse in the Bhagavad Gita. The time of day is night for the enlightened soul, but the time of night is day for the enlightened soul. So for Srila Prabhupada, coming to the city is like seeing the dense darkness of illusion, or the dark forest of illusion, and for most people going to the city, they go to enjoy. They go at night to go to the clubs, the restaurants, the bright lights. So you know, in the Vedas it says, okay, one should go to the forest after the age of 50, but Prabhupada flipped the script. He showed us that actually doing Sankirtan in these cities is like living in the jungle. Can you comment on that?
Yeah, well, Prabhupada never left Vrindavan. He came to give you Vrindavan. So that's the understanding, because he was always in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is not a physical place, you know. Vrindavan is a place where there is chanting and constant remembrance of the Lord. It's not like sometimes some devotees, you know, they have this misunderstanding that, oh, if I go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, then it's okay. But you might go there, but if you're doing nonsense in Vrindavan, then you're not in Vrindavan. But you may be in Los Angeles. So just like Prabhupada, many lectures, he used to say that here, if you think that you are in Los Angeles, you are in illusion. You're living in this temple. You're living in Vaikuntha. So, you know, Prabhupada, first of all, he had a mission. You know, he was appointed to the Lord to come to the Western world and spread the Hare Krishna movement. But he never left his Vrindavan consciousness. He came to give us Vrindavan. So he was always in the mood of the Vrajavasi, remembering Krishna constantly. Prabhupada never spoke of anything else except Krishna consciousness. So that is considered to be also living in Vrindavan. And so many of the Prabhupada disciples, Maharaj is there, and he can tell us how when they met Prabhupada, they realized that, wow, this man is in the spiritual world. Just like Amogalila Prabhu was saying in the class on Monday, that when he saw Prabhupada, one of the times he saw Prabhupada, he was sitting on a chair or something like that. He saw that Prabhupada was actually in the spiritual world. So he never left Vrindavan in that sense, never. Yes, Maharaj, please. Please, can you?
Thanks for a nice class and for inspiring me to say the following. It's true. I have spoken to Srila Prabhupada, and he had also in many lectures said the same thing that you have just said. He said, people ask, don't you get disturbed? Don't you get upset? Don't you get shaken by all the sinful activities going on all around you? He says, I have not left Vrindavan. That's only an appearance. I see figures there, but they don't affect me because I don't have those desires anymore. If you have no desires to have those things, they don't disturb or upset. But if you have them, and you try to cover them, you try to act as if you don't have them, they will affect you doubly. So the thing is try to work it off through the blessings, prayers, and devotion to Krishna, to all the great saints, and don't be ashamed to be low and small and insignificant, because that's what we are. And by being what we are and not being ashamed and not trying to pretend, Krishna likes that. He says, because you're showing that you don't, that's who you really are. So it means that's real humility, that you don't mind, well, you do mind, you'd like to be higher, but you're not ashamed to show it to the world, because that's what you are. You don't want to pretend, you don't want to lie, you don't want to act as if you're something you're not. Rather, all you want to do is become a pure devotee, and whatever it takes, even showing a false self to the world, and that brings shame to you, nonetheless, it doesn't matter to you, because that's what you are. And that's what truth is, what you are, not what you pretend to be.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vanchakalpataru Visha Kripa Sindhu Pyai Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.